afraid of Allah, although Allah is one who punishes. Okay, Allah is one who is just, who crushes and destroys. But our relationship with Allah is not built on that. Humans need boundaries in order to know which direction to go. Like a road, the road has to be made with edges. That's what you call a road. We're finite beings. We always have boundaries. Well, our boundary in understanding, okay, sometimes the outer boundaries are those punishments. And this is what drives us. We need to know how to stay away, because the minute it's like on the highways, when you go off-road, they have that very rough. It wakes you up in case you fall asleep, you go out of bounds, it wakes you up. Well, it's the same thing that fear, you bring it right back. Well, that's when Allah says, I will punish you. But the minute you go out of bounds, it wakes you up and says, okay, get back in line. It doesn't mean Allah is punishing the fearful one. It's the one who should be feared. It's the one who should be loved through fear. What kind of fear? The fear of losing the love. It's like when a person loves another person, and that person is always thinking about doing good things for that other person. You say, why are you always like this? He says, I fear the loss of this love. And then I'm so in love, I don't want to lose this love. That fear is very positive fear. That's the kind of fear we should have. Just like a parent fears their child's failure, and therefore they always take extra precautions in order to maintain a positive progress in the child's life. Those fears of being safety conscious, in ensuring that the school is right, and ensuring that the teaching methods are right. You ask the parent, why? I fear any kind of harm to my child. That's a very positive relationship. We should love Allah. Loving Allah takes an individual to want to worship and to do Allah's work. We should never obey Allah because we are afraid of Him. Because that's the kind of a relationship that's really a fearful relationship, which I don't think gives us positive behavior. It's like, I always say, if a father loves the child and teaches the child proper love, and the child truly loves the father, the child will not want to disobey the father. In fact, the child will want to do more than what the father wants, because the child is in love with the father. But if the father is full of harshness and is constantly whipping the child, and the child fears the father, the child will obey the father, but not with love. And that's not the relationship we want to have with Allah. Islam's position on adoption. Islam does not reject adoption. Adoption is allowed, except that the child's name should be maintained. The family name should be maintained with the child's name. It should not be. The child should not take your name, your family name. But adoption is not forbidden.
How about when it comes to mahram and non-mahram?
Mahram and non-mahram has rules. If the woman breastfeeds the child, if it's an infant, then the child becomes mahram if it's a boy. Okay.
To the brothers and sisters also.
Because then the husband will become correct. So under those conditions. But under other conditions, it is a problem. That's why the mahram of the child becomes an adult, correct. And those are the issues some people ask. What steps can we take to attain spiritual closeness to Allah? Know the value of Allah. I always believe when you look around and see the beauty of Allah's creation, see the purpose behind everything, understand why things happen the way they do. What is the purpose why I'm existing? Why do I have problems in life? What am I expected to do when I take a step for Allah? What are my expectations? You and I will learn, and as we learn, we begin to understand the divine plan. And once you and I merge with the divine plan, closeness becomes natural. You will not take a step outside of Allah's desire. It just becomes natural. It's like, I give you the best example. It's so common. When a person loves another person, that person who loves the other person starts to dress like the other person, wants to look like the other person, or starts to look like the way the other person wants them to look. And if you ask them, why you dress like this? He says, no, my beloved likes it this way, so I like it. Yeah, but you don't like it. He says, no, I like it because my beloved likes it. What a relationship. To you it seems absurd for you to make a change, a dynamic change to something you don't like. But that higher love just simply overtakes your desire and it makes you into a different being. And that's totally possible. In Hayat's book, he mentioned something very interesting. He says there was an ant. He gives an analogy of an ant. He says there was an ant who fell in love with a an ant test. And the female ant says to the ant, well, he says to her that I love you and I want to possess you. She says, you can, but I have a desire. And he says, what is your desire? He says, I want you to dig me a tunnel from here to there. She says, I will do that. So as he's busy digging, another ant comes to him and says, you know, you will never finish digging this tunnel because you will die by then. He says, it doesn't matter. As long as my beloved is happy, I'm in love. Look, he's not with her, but he's so in love with digging a hole, a tunnel. And that relationship is so overwhelming that the digging becomes pleasurable. Imagine a worshipper of Allah. The proximity to Allah is that when you do His work, and the love relationship is amazing. Anybody have a question? With your hands raised. Where in the Quran is Ahlul Bayt mentioned? Ahlul Bayt is mentioned through Ahzab. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت. It's verse number 33, surah number 33. And that is clearly only 4 people to the Prophet. Clearly. It's unanimously accepted. Sunni and Shia. That Ahlul Bayt are unanimously only 4 people besides the Prophet. And that's accepted by both schools of thought. Those who claim it to be the wives of the Prophet, they don't know Quran properly, and they don't know the Sharia, they do not know the tafsir. Because even scholars of Hasanain, they admit clearly, even in Sahih Muslim, when the Mubahila took place, the Prophet says, Allahumma inna hawla ahla bayti. This is mentioned by Muslims, where he mentions the Prophet looks and he points to Imam Ali, uz-Zahra, Hasanain, saying, he says, inna hawla ahla bayti, wa khasati. These are this is my Ahlul Bayt. And even Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal was the Imam of the Hanbali, which is a very popular school. Even he admits that Ahlul Bayt are only that close. So it's mentioned in the Quran and in Hadith. Do you want me to read? You answered this question yesterday. How do you tell someone who has stopped reading namaz to realize the importance of namaz? Like I said, salah is a great act. It's a valuable act. Prayer in general, as a general principle, people who pray tend to be calmer and happier than people who don't pray. People who pray tend to be more successful in life. They tend to have more confidence in themselves. Because prayer is really something that one gives allegiance to hope. Because you would not pray if you didn't have hope. When you lose hope, you don't pray. And hope really is the direction to Allah. In fact, our Imams mentioned hope is Allah. When you have hope, it's proof that's Allah. Otherwise, how would you have hope? Hope is meaningless otherwise. And when we pray, it calms the person down. And prayer is a template of morality that should be practiced upon its completion. Meaning, you are bearing allegiance to who you should be and what you should be. And upon completion of prayer, it is now what you should do. Okay, that's why the whole salah, the entire prayer, if you look at it, is a template of what you and I should be doing. Everything in salah is exactly, it's what we call the moral template of the day. And Allah wants to remind me about that moral template 5 times a day. Precisely because Allah is at the center of my morals, He is the source of my morals, because He is the absolute good, and my objectives are to obey His commands, because He is the source of good, and everything returns to Him, and He is the source of my purpose in life. Where the minute you remove God, there is no purpose, because now we become accidental beings, and we become purposeless, and prayer falls apart. So prayer has many, many dimensions. So we need to evaluate and value what is the meaning of prayer. Once we understand it, I think it's an amazing reality to have. It's not only a social thing, it's a very humbling act, but the problem with us is we humans tend to get desensitized with repetitious acts. Repetitious acts tend to become desensitized because we humans, the minute we get repetition, we build this what we call muscle memory. And the muscle memory tends to do things without a thought. And that is why salah should be done